Hi, I'm Jill Roberts, and I'm sorry I haven't been on here in a very long time. But today, I really want to talk about chakras. Coming up in a week or two, I'm going to be working with the fabulous Francesca Mancini from Giardino Blue Jewelers, and we're going to be talking all about crystals. So today, I want to get into the chakras, because this is something I'd like to touch upon while I'm on with Francesca. We have 7 chakras in our physical body, and they all correspond to different things, and different colors are used when it comes to which stones. It's kind of an easy way to figure out what stones you want to use. Now, of course, there are the more common stones like amethyst and rose quartz that are wonderful, but I find a little generic or maybe just a little overused. So today, I'd like to talk about the chakras and maybe 1 or 2 stones you could use with each. But again, it's whatever you feel drawn to. Okay, so no matter what any crystal expert may say, or, whomever you look up to, you have to go with what you're being pulled to, what feels right to you. So if amethyst feels right, or rose quartz feels right, then use that. So first, we have chakras in the physical body, and I'm talking about the ones that align with our central nervous system, with our spine. Okay, now the first chakra is the root chakra. You may not be able to see it because I'm sitting down, but it's located right around where your coccyx bone is, the end of the spinal column, and that chakra is represented by red, and you can use other color stones besides red stones for it. For example, you can use black or brown. But of course, if you want to just stay with red, by all means, you can. I tend to like to use earth-based stones, and I will use those stones for, especially protective stones, for my root chakra. So, black obsidian, black tourmaline. For brown stones, I don't want to say shaman stones. You could use a shaman stone there. However, shaman stones come in pairs, and if you're going to use them in chakras, they're usually in the earth soul chakra, which is below our feet, and then there's a chakra above our head that usually corresponds with the counterpart to that. But you could, if you have just one, you can use a shaman stone there. You could use petrified wood. You could, which is a fossilized, it's fossils and it's, stones together. It's a fossilized, things that come together to make a stone. So that's why it's pretty amazing. I do like using it. You could use carnelian. You could use red aventurine, red jasper. Those are some red stones you can use with your root chakra. The next chakra up is the sacral, and this is where our reproductive organs are, whether we're male or female. It's below the belly button, and it represents sexuality and creativity. So, orange, you could use carnelian for that as well, because it's more of an orangey reddish color. It's not a deep red. this is the chakra that inspires you, inspires your creativity. This is where you get that, whatever it is that makes you you, for your ideas and what you're into. If you're an artist or a writer or whatever, this is the chakra to concentrate on. Okay? Then we have the solar plexus, which is represented by yellow, and it's right above our belly button. This is basically our emotional hub. This is where we feel our emotions. If you've ever had a panic or anxiety attack, you'll know what I'm talking about. Usually, we feel it right here, between the third and fifth chakra, maybe up to here, our trunk base here. You might get that fight or flight instinct from it. Some people refer to their anxiety as like a nervous stomach. This is why, unfortunately, negative emotions grabs our attention a lot quicker. So this is why I'm talking about anxiety. A good stone to use there, you could use yellow jasper, you could use amber, but there's just so many different stones. And again, Francesca and I are going to get into that. We're also going to get into talking about, wearing crystal jewelry and how that can help you. And go into more specific stones that may be not as common to help balance you out with your chakras, okay? So again, we're talking about the 7 physical ones in, around the spinal column, not anywhere else. So after the solar plexus, we have the heart chakra, which is around the sternum, about right here. And that is usually green. Well, it is green, but people do tend to use pink stones for that as well, like rose quartz. You could use ruby. You could use a pink mica. You could use, and I'm talking about non-green stones. What you could use, which would be wonderful, is bloodstone, believe it or not. It's green and has red in it, and it's thought to, in the Middle Ages, it was thought that the red bits in the bloodstone, in the part of the green, were Christ's blood. So it has a representation of Christ consciousness and connecting with source. So whatever source that is for you, it doesn't have to be, Christ is an ascended master, so you don't have to adhere to him as, the Son of God, if that is not what you're comfortable with. You could just, like Buddha is an ascended master, not all Buddhists, not all Buddhists, meaning people who are non-Buddhists, do adhere to Buddha as an ascended master. So it's the same thing with Christ. So the Christ consciousness is the bloodstone, having that inherent in it, is a great stone to use for the heart, to open up the heart. So you have both of those kind of colors going in there. But other just green stones that you might want to use could be peridot, could be emerald. And you can use both. Cherry tourmaline is a great stone to use in the heart chakra. Morganite is a wonderful stone to use in the heart chakra. It's more of an unconditional love, because that's the love that you want to open up in these chakras. You don't want it just to be, personal, passionate love. You want that too, but You want it to be more on, a collective consciousness basis, unconditional love. Okay? And then we have the throat chakra, which is represented by blue. So some stones you could use are lapis lazuli. Now, some of these stones have dual purposes. They can be both used for verbal communication, which is what the throat chakra deals with. Helping you get your truth out there. If you're shy, talking in front of people, helping you get over the fear of public speaking, or just being able to convey your ideas or convey your emotions to somebody that you're close to. So the throat chakra is important for that. And lapis lazuli is a stone that will not only work on the throat chakra, but it will work on the third eye as well. Lazulite is another one, which is part of what's in lapis lazuli, but it's a little stronger and a little bit more expensive. But a highly recommended stone for the third eye, that's for sure. Especially in its gemmy form, okay? The crystallized form of it. So any regular type of blue stone. Again, here's another one, celestite, which is, more of a stone to channel and talk with angels, can be good for this and your crown chakra or your third eye. Okay? So it will help, chakras 5, 6, and 7. So there are stones that can be used for multiple purposes, not just for one. For your third eye, it's more of an indigo color. A lot of people choose to use amethyst, and amethyst is a wonderful stone. For me, I personally have not had great results, more so, with opening my third eye with amethyst. Some people swear by it, some people don't. I find it to be a little overused, depending on where you source your amethyst from. It depends on the stone, it depends on you. So you could use amethyst, of course. Lazulite, very good. Believe it or not, even though it's more green, epidote works a lot with the third eye and the heart chakra. So again, you will have stones that do two different things, but yet in the same common goal here. Again, Francesca and I just want to go over what chakras are, so that way when we get into it on the podcast, it doesn't get confusing, because a lot of times people can sometimes confuse chakras and clairs. And clairs are your psychic senses, clairvoyance, clairaudience, claircognizance. And that is, of course, a subject for a different time. If you're interested in bloodstone, there's an episode from Christmas on Psychic Today with Jill Roberts. You can find that on iTunes with podcasts. You can find it on Breaker. You can find it on Radio Public. You can find it on Spotify. You can find it on anchor.fm/JillNYC. Jill NYC, all one word, and you can listen to it on your computer if you don't have a smartphone. But it's on basically pretty much every platform except Podbean. Okay, for whatever reason, we don't have a contract with Podbean, but everything else we do. So whether you're iOS or Google Podcasts as well, just look for Jill Roberts, just look for Psychic Today with Jill Roberts or Jill Roberts Psychic Medium, and the show will show up. So Christmas episode, I dealt with bloodstone, and I did a couple of episodes on specific crystals, lazulite being one of them. You might want to check that out if you're interested in it. I'm trying to think of some others. For the crown chakra, which is right on the top of your head here, more kind of towards the back, selenite is wonderful. Selenite is a stone that really doesn't need to be cleansed. It actually cleanses other stones. However, anytime I get something, I am in Manhattan and I'm on the Upper East Side, and that, believe it or not, I know, like, you think New York City has it all. We really don't. I think there's like one crystal shop in the city. It is so expensive, it's ridiculous, and that's because of the rents are expensive, and it's in a part of town that is not kind of favorable, and it's far, believe it or not, for where I am. I'm very close to the East River, so I tend to stay in my little area, my little neighborhood of Yorkville, which used to be a very working class neighborhood, of Germans and Hungarians, even though I'm neither. But Yorkville used to be Klein Deutschland, and I managed a bar up here that's been here forever, since the 1930s. And it used to be all German restaurants and beer houses and beer gardens, and it was just really a wonderful, magical time. And now there's just one left. It's the one that both where Stefan and I met, and he's still there part-time, well, full-time, but it's one of his jobs as the head chef there. And it'll always be a part of me, this neighborhood. It's unfortunate that all these high-rises went up and we lost our view, but I'm still hanging in there on the Upper East Side. But believe it or not, there are other couple of types of crystal places in the neighborhood, and it's more like museums. These are pieces that you're talking, they're in the thousands of dollars, and I'm talking maybe 5 or 6 digits, not even like, you could go in and buy a piece for $1,000. It's not. They're museum quality pieces. So I really don't get the allure to that. It's not a type of place that you can just go and pick up, whatever you're drawn to. Again, no matter what I say or whomever else you listen to or you enjoy listening to or adhere to, what they say, or even when I do the episodes with Francesca and I, these are examples of what's worked for us, okay? May not work for you. For example, everybody raves about moldavite. Moldavite has no effect on me whatsoever. People say they touch it and they're just feeling awakened and enlightened and they're dizzy, and it does nothing for me. I have it. I made a selenite wand with it. I try to meditate with it, and I stop because it just aggravates me. I mean, people go on and on. Books are written about it, how wonderful it is, and it just does not work. So, for example, whatever I, may say, this is a great stone to use, or that's a great stone to use. If you're not being drawn to it, don't waste your time. Get something that you're being drawn to, even if you can't get to a shop like I can't to, because there's nowhere around here. I spent last summer with my children. Stefan and I drove 6 hours to Herkimer County. Even though we're in New York, it's still a 6-hour ride upstate. And it was wonderful because not only did I source my own Herkimer diamonds, I also was able to source 30 other species of stones and crystals. So I have so much stuff besides the other stuff that I get. And I also subscribe to, crystal boxes. And I get maybe 6 or 7 different subscriptions a month. And I always try to tend to get the subscriptions using raw or natural stones. Because when you get tumbled stones, in the process of tumbling, even though they're prettier, and shinier, the energy is cut down in them. So my advice is to definitely use raw or natural stones when possible. Lots of people love having tumble stones. They're smaller, they're easy to carry. But if you're using crystals for a specific purpose, whether it be you have a crystal, like I give crystal prescriptions for whether it's physical, emotional, or spiritual ailments, tailored to my clients. And of course, always go to a medical doctor if you have a physical or an emotional problem first, or in conjunction with crystal therapy, okay? Because I can't always get to my clients, which is why, most of my clients I work with doing distance healing or gridding, which is using sacred geometry and using specific stones in a specific way to create the energy that will then go to that person. I mean, I have done an exorcism as I have gone in as a proxy and fixed the problem. Took a little bit of a while. It took, a couple sessions of remote viewing and clairvoyantly going in and seeing what is going on in the house, and then figuring out what needed to be done and fixing the problem. So if, you always want to use protective stones, which are dark colored stones, black tourmaline, obsidian, and, shaman stones are great too. Any earth-based stones, because you're going to want to ground yourself and protect yourself as much as possible, especially if you're dealing with paranormal, circumstances or some sort of possession. So, I have clients that I work with, and I do that as well. It's not just, putting crystals on somebody. And of course, I do that, but I only do that in the Yorkville area. Okay, because traveling with my table and all of my things is kind of heavy. And it doesn't need to necessarily be done. You don't necessarily have to have the crystal on you. Distance healing can be just as effective, if not more so. You have to also remember that things now also travel through the speed of fiber optics and electricity and stuff like that, which is why many, many years ago, I am also an evidential medium. I am a shaman. I have lots of titles. I like to just say I'm a light worker. I'm a crystal healer as well. But years ago, before the Wi-Fi, you would have a lot of flickering lights, because at that time, our loved ones were able to get through the electricity lines. Now with Wi-Fi. So believe it or not, when I have a mediumship client and I use Zoom, I can get sometimes a better connection with the Wi-Fi than I can, if you were sitting right in front of me. And of course, I have your energy to work with, but I still have your energy to work with on, through Zoom. And most times I can see your loved one standing behind you, which they would be with you in your house as opposed to you with me in my office or my home. Do you understand? So, lots of people want that immediacy. I'm not a fortune teller. I do channeling sessions ahead of time. It will take 1 week, before our appointment. I do 3 to 4 channeling sessions. If there's a specific person you want to speak to, I do not want to know any information, just if there's a specific person, and I reach out to that person. And I have never had a problem getting that information of who that person is, thankfully, knock wood. But, for me, what's most important is my clients not having a shadow of a doubt that the person that they want to speak to is there. Because I will give names, I will give, either I'll come up with dates as far as anniversaries, birthdays, something that means something to you, memories, what they're wearing, what they look like, what they did for a living, how they passed. There's just, which is why it's called evidential mediumship. I get a lot of clients via Yelp that just want to, have a quick session and are willing to pay my fees. And, I do at least 2 hours with you. It's not, per 15 minutes or per half hour. I do 2 hours, and, I stay with you even longer if need be. And I will then continuously, I will channel ahead of time. I will audio tape myself, because sometimes if your mother tongue is not English, I will channel in other languages that I don't speak. And then I will translate it once I figure out what the language is. And then with Zoom, I can videotape our interaction, so you have it forever. Because some things may not make sense right now, but a week later, 3 weeks later, a year later, something might be, bam, that's what that meant. Maybe something haven't happened yet. So, of course there are emergency, mediumship readings, but they're going to be a lot more expensive. Because, yes, of course I could take clients' money and do it same day the way they want to be done, but I'm not a fortune teller. That's not what I do. I'm a light worker. I don't want any of my I don't want to be vague. I want to be exact. And I want my clients to feel that. I want them to feel the love. I want them to feel the love coming from their loved ones. I want to be able to give them memories. I want to be able to give them information there's no way in heck I could ever know. And that's just on the mediumship end of it. I'm also starting an awakening course. So if you've ever been interested in remembering who you are at core level, at soul level, we're going to use different techniques, shamanistic techniques, pagan techniques, which is, I know, an umbrella term, but just say polytheistic at this point, okay? All different areas of philosophy, and utilizing crystals and imparting my knowledge onto you. And it's going to be live, and it will be taped if you can't make it. So that's going to be coming in the next month or two, and I will give you more information on that. So for the crown chakra, selenite is great. Back to that. Trying to think what else you could use. You could use celestite there too, because you're, with the crown chakra being opened, you kind of are looking to connect with spirit guides or your guardian angel or angels, period. I like to use selenite. Sometimes I make a selenite wand with, the 12 ascension crystals, or as many of them as I have. Usually they're very expensive, so they're very tiny. So you could get brookite, phenakite, moldavite if you want. There's so many different ones. Trying to think what else. Herderite, pedalite, naturalite, Herkimer diamond on each side. Quartz and diamond are amplified. Quartz and Herkimer diamonds are great amplifiers. So if you have a stone you want to use at your crown chakra, you can also, put a clear quartz piece there. And you want to program it first, cleanse it, and program it. I cleanse with either blue sage or white sage. If I get something in, I do white sage. And then I will use, once it's cleansed from, like I said, I can't buy crystals here in New York. So what I do is if I'm buying crystals and they're not coming in, the ones that I want in the subscription boxes that I need, then I will order online. And so even if it's charged by, the wonderful person who is, selling these items, under a moon, and they use Reiki and wonderful energy, whoever takes the box from them in the post office or UPS or FedEx, you have so many people touching it in transit from wherever it's coming from to me that I need to, no matter how many wonderful things they've done to the crystal before it gets to me, I like to use sage. I hate the smell of sage because it smells like marijuana and frankincense to me, and I cannot stand the scent of marijuana. Growing up, having a parent, my father, who smoked pot every day, I don't mind other people. If that's what you want to do, that's great. For me, I don't do that, and that's because of my dad. But anyhow, but I will suffer through the smell of that to cleanse it. Because some crystals you just can't put underwater. Anything that's quartz-based or ends in ITE cannot be put in water. There's nowhere around here I can put it into soil. I mean, it's unfortunate, but the dog owners in my area they don't curb their dogs. They let them go in the trees, in the parks, where people sit. There's nowhere for me to put it. And again, I think it's just a stretch of like 2-block area here where they don't really adhere to the dog laws. I had a dog for 15 years, and she was amazing. She was a Shepherd Border Collie mix, and she just had these amazing eyes. But I always curbed her. When she went to the bathroom, I took her into the curb in between parked cars. There's this one building, unfortunately, it's on the block of where my daughter goes to school, and every morning we're just like tiptoeing around, jumping so we don't step in, dog excrement. So, it's the people in this building, they come right out, and there's a scaffolding there, and what they do is, instead of going even on the outside of the scaffolding, they let the dogs go to the bathroom on the inside, right next to the buildings, or in the middle of where you're walking in this now smaller part of the sidewalk. So it's, and now it's freezing, so you see all urine that is frozen, that you're slipping on, and it's gross. And I love dogs. We actually just got a Maine Coon kitten a few months ago. She's only 6 months old, and already she's, the last time I measured her, she was 27 inches from head to toe. And, not head to toe, head to tail. And now she's gotten even bigger. She's the size of a full-grown cat at 6 months old, and she's going to grow until she's 5 years old. So, Yeah, she's like a dog. She's like the dog of the cat world. Because unfortunately in the city it's tough to have a dog because you have to get up and run out 25 times a day depending on the dog that you have, and if you have a big dog you need to exercise it. So because I had a bigger sized dog, so I got the next best thing, and she's wonderful. I call her Luna. We got her on a full moon and she's black, so she's perfect for me. But anyway, you can use Palo Santo after you've initially smudged the crystals, or whatever it is you get in the mail. If it's something like, for example, I have an Apache tear ring here, okay? And what this does, if you look close enough, that's my spectrolite, but if you look close enough, if I can get it into focus, it's porous. So anything porous definitely needs to be, because it absorbs negative energy, definitely needs to be, for me, cleansed daily. So you can use this. It smells so much better. I love the smell of Palo Santo. My kids hate the smudging, but, I do, like I said, I do things like, get rid of negative, entities and demons, and I would prefer to smudge as much as possible. So always protect yourself. Whether it's before meditation or not, get a grounding technique. If you don't have one, let me know. I will do a guided grounding meditation for you before a meditation. Believe it or not, walk you through it basically, or just tell you where, give you an article or something I find online, or tell you what I do. You always want to ground before you go and open your mind up, okay? And the higher the vibrational crystals you use, the higher you will move consciously, and that kind of lets the negative entity things drop off. They can't follow you up. If you can go high, they can't go. So anyway, I look forward to doing the crystal episodes on Psychic Today with Jill Roberts with Francesca Mancini of Giardino Blue Jewelers. You can take a look at her amazing collection at giardinoblue.com. That's giardinoblue.com. If you want to take a look at me, I'm on Instagram under Upper East Side Medium, which is UES Medium. You can find me on Facebook. And of course on anchor.fm/JillNYC. If you want to listen online, there's loads of, backlog of catalog of my episodes from Psychic Today, and I will be doing another one shortly. I promise. I haven't done one since the New Year. So Happy New Year. All my love and light to you all. We all deserve to live extraordinary lives. So let's do that, and let's do it together. Have a great day.